Pastor Miller explained that God listens to the heart behind the words. Elon nodded in acknowledgement, while X sat up straighter in his chair, his small face reflecting the gravity of the moment. Miller lowered his head slightly in reverence. "Dear Jesus," he began, "we come to you today with open hearts and minds. We recognize your reality, that you crafted this universe we're striving to explore and comprehend." Elon hesitated for only a moment before echoing the prayer, his voice soft but firm. X joined in, his clear, high-pitched voice a gentle contrast to Elon's deeper tone. "We ask you to enter our lives," Miller continued, "to help us know you personally and to lead us toward truth and purpose." Once again, Father and Son repeated the words together. X reached over, taking Elon's hand in his small one. "We accept your love and forgiveness," Miller said, "and we choose to follow you from this day onward. Thank you for hearing us. Amen." "Amen," Elon and X said in unison. When Elon opened his eyes, a subtle shift was evident in his expression, newfound peace or clarity that hadn't been present before. X beamed with a smile, clearly delighted by their shared experience. Hannah, visibly touched by the moment, spoke softly. "Elon, could you share what you're feeling right now?" Elon paused, gathering his thoughts. When he spoke, his voice carried a fresh certainty. "I feel a clarity I didn't expect, like something I've been searching for, without fully realizing it, has come into focus. My career has always been about understanding the universe and advancing humanity. But I'm starting to see that without addressing the spiritual side of existence, that understanding will always be incomplete." X tugged at his father's sleeve once more. "Does this mean Jesus is our friend now, Dad?" Elon looked at his son with deep affection. "Yes, buddy, I believe it does." The final segment of the show unfolded in a way no one could have predicted at the start of the broadcast. What began as a standard celebrity interview had evolved into a moment of deep spiritual significance, witnessed live by millions. Hannah, regaining her professional composure, addressed the audience. "I think we've all just witnessed something truly extraordinary. Elon, would you like to share any final thoughts before we close?" Elon appeared changed, his characteristic intensity still there, but now softened, more centered. "I've built my career on challenging conventional thinking and seeking truth wherever it leads. Today, that search has brought me to a place I didn't expect." He glanced at X, who was glowing with childlike satisfaction. "Sometimes our children guide us to wisdom we've overlooked. X has been asking me questions about God, heaven, and purpose, questions I realized I've been avoiding in my own life." "And now?" Hannah prompted gently. "Now I understand that accepting Jesus doesn't mean abandoning reason or science," Elon replied. "It's about recognizing that there's a dimension to existence beyond what we can measure in a lab. The same mind that created mathematical laws and physical constants is offering a personal relationship that's both intellectually and spiritually compelling." Pastor Miller nodded in agreement. Many people misunderstand faith as blind acceptance without evidence, but biblical faith is more like trust, based on what you've come to know is reliable, like trusting a bridge, because you understand its engineering principles. "Exactly," Elon agreed. "I've spent my life building on scientific principles I trust. Now I'm recognizing there are spiritual principles just as real, just as trustworthy." X, who had been listening carefully, suddenly asked, "What happens now, Dad, since we talked to Jesus?" The question, simple yet profound, drew the attention of everyone in the studio. Elon answered thoughtfully, "Now, buddy, we keep learning. Just like we learn about planets and rockets, we'll learn more about God, and we'll try to live differently because of what we've discovered." Hannah turned to the viewers. "We're nearly out of time. Pastor Miller, any final thoughts for our audience who have witnessed this remarkable moment?" Miller smiled gently. "Only that authentic faith is never about performance or perfection. It's about an honest journey toward truth. What we've seen today is the beginning of such a journey for Elon and X." As the show prepared to conclude, Hannah posed one last question. "Elon, knowing the influence you have worldwide, is there anything you'd like to say to people watching who might be on similar spiritual journeys?" Elon considered this carefully before speaking directly into the camera. "I'd say that intellectual curiosity shouldn't stop at the boundaries of physical science. The same commitment to following evidence and seeking truth that drives scientific discovery can also lead to spiritual understanding. I've spent my life pushing boundaries and questioning assumptions. Today, I've discovered that the greatest frontier isn't in space or technology, it's understanding our purpose in this remarkably designed universe and connecting with the intelligence behind it all." X, not wanting to be left out, added with a child's perfect simplicity, "And Jesus loves everybody, even grown-ups who build rockets." The audience laughed gently, and Elon smiled at his son's addition. As the show's theme music played, signaling the end of the broadcast, Hannah thanked her guests. The cameras captured Elon with his arm around X, both visibly transformed by the experience they had shared. Later, as they left the studio, a production assistant approached Elon. "Sir, the network's phones are ringing off the hook. Social media is exploding with clips from the show. People are calling it a historic broadcast." Elon nodded, unsurprised. Truth has that effect. In the car ride home, X fell asleep against his father's shoulder. Elon looked down at his son, marveling at how a child's simple questions had led to such a profound shift in his own life. He had built companies that revolutionized industries and pursued innovations that pushed the boundaries of human capability. But today, guided by the innocent wisdom of his 5-year-old son, he had made perhaps his most significant discovery yet. As the car moved through the evening traffic, Elon's phone buzzed continuously with messages and notifications. The world was reacting to what they had witnessed, but for now, those responses could wait. This moment, this new beginning, belonged to him and X and to the new relationship they had embraced together on live television, reaching millions in ways no technology ever could. By morning, the interview had gone viral in every sense of the word. Clips were being shared across all social media platforms, news channels were replaying key moments, and the phrase, "Elon and X find Jesus," was trending worldwide. Public reaction was as divided as it was passionate. Some celebrated what they saw as a genuine spiritual awakening, while others speculated about ulterior motives or temporary emotional decisions. Elon woke early, feeling strangely rested despite having slept less than usual. He checked his phone and was immediately overwhelmed by thousands of notifications messages from friends, business associates, journalists, and countless strangers filled his inbox. He set the phone aside, craving a few more moments of peace before facing the world's reaction. X was still sleeping, curled up in his bed with his favorite stuffed rocket clutched tightly in his arms. Elon stood in the doorway of his son's room, watching him sleep and reflecting on the extraordinary events of the previous day. "What have we started, buddy?" he whispered softly. After preparing breakfast, Elon finally sat down to sort through the messages. His closest friends expressed surprise but support, while business partners sent carefully worded messages, neither endorsing nor criticizing. Religious leaders from various denominations reached out, offering guidance, congratulations, or, in some cases, warnings about the scrutiny that would follow. Pastor Miller had sent a simple text. "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I'm here if you need anything." When X finally padded into the kitchen in his space-themed pajamas, he seemed unchanged by yesterday's events, a reminder that children often accept profound truths with a simplicity adults have forgotten how to access. "Morning, Dad," he said, climbing onto a stool at the kitchen counter. "Can I have waffles?" Elon smiled. "Of course, buddy." While preparing X's breakfast, Elon received a call from his communications director, who sounded stressed. "We've received over 300 interview requests since last night," she explained. "Everyone wants to know if this was planned, if it's permanent, what it means for your companies, whether you'll be joining a specific church. Tell them I'll issue a statement later today." Elon replied calmly, "But no interviews yet. I need time to process this with X before I discuss it further publicly." After breakfast, Elon sat with X in their living room, away from screens and the world's reactions. "X, do you remember what happened yesterday on the TV show?" he asked gently. X nodded seriously. "We talked to Jesus, and now he's our friend." "That's right," Elon said. "And how do you feel about that today?" X considered this with the straightforward thoughtfulness that often surprised adults. "Happy, but also normal. Like when you make a new friend at school, but then you still have to do your homework." Elon laughed. His son had inadvertently captured something profound. Spiritual transformation didn't exempt you from daily life. It gave that life new meaning. "That's very wise, X, and you're right. Our lives will still have homework and challenges, but we'll face them differently now." By midday, Elon had drafted a simple statement that he posted across his social media accounts. "What happened yesterday was unplanned but completely genuine. X and I are at the beginning of a new journey. I ask for privacy as we explore what this means for our family. I remain committed to scientific inquiry and technological progress, which I now see as compatible with, not opposed to, spiritual truth. Truth is truth, wherever you find it." The statement, like the interview, prompted intense debate. Some praised its authenticity, while others questioned whether someone known for rational thinking could genuinely embrace faith. That afternoon, Pastor Miller visited their home. As X showed him his collection of space models, Elon expressed his concerns. "People are already trying to politicize this or use it for their own agendas," he said. "That's not what this is about for me or X." Miller nodded. "That's the world we live in. But remember, what matters isn't how others interpret your journey, it's whether you're following truth as you understand it." "I've always followed evidence where it leads," Elon replied. "For a long time, that kept me focused on the physically measurable universe. But recently, I couldn't ignore the evidence of design, purpose, and moral reality that points beyond materialistic explanations. Many of history's greatest scientists came to similar conclusions, Miller said. The idea that faith and reason are enemies is a relatively recent misconception. Both pursue truth, just from different angles. Before leaving, Miller gave Elon a Bible. Start with the Gospel of John, he suggested. And remember, this is a relationship, not just a philosophical position. Talk to God daily, just as naturally as you talk to Him on the show. That evening, after putting X to bed, Elon sat on his balcony, gazing at the stars he had dedicated much of his life to reaching. They seemed different now, not just objects of scientific curiosity, but signposts pointing to something beyond themselves. He opened the Bible to John's Gospel and began to read, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In Him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind." The mathematical elegance of the universe had always impressed him. Now he was beginning to see that elegance as a language the Word John described, through which an intelligent creator communicated with his creation. Elon's phone rang, interrupting his reading. It was a journalist he had known for years, someone who had covered his business ventures with fair-minded attention to detail. "I'm not doing interviews yet," Elon said when he answered. "I know," the journalist replied. "I'm not calling as a reporter right now, but as someone who watched yesterday and was affected by it. I've been an atheist my entire adult life, but something about seeing you and X made me wonder if I've been missing something. Could we talk, off the record, just as people?" The conversation lasted over an hour. By its end, Elon realized that what had happened on television was indeed reaching millions, not just as a viral moment or celebrity news, but touching people on a deeper level, transcending the usual media cycles. Before going to bed, Elon checked on X one last time. His son was sleeping peacefully, his small chest rising and falling with each breath. The sight filled Elon with a protective love that now seemed to connect with something larger, a glimpse of how God might see his children. "Thank you," Elon whispered into the quiet room, his words directed not just upward but inward, where he was beginning to sense a presence he had previously overlooked while searching the stars. In the weeks that followed, Elon and X established new routines. Sunday mornings, once reserved for work or leisure, became their time for attending church with Pastor Miller. They started each day with a simple prayer time that X enthusiastically led, his childlike faith cutting through complications adults often created. The media frenzy had not diminished, if anything. Interest had grown as people witnessed the consistency in Elon's new path. Some business analysts predicted his companies would suffer as customers or investors reacted negatively to his spiritual transformation, while others suggested his influence would only grow, extending beyond technology into cultural and spiritual spheres. At X's school, teachers noticed a change in the boy. Always bright and curious, he now showed a new confidence in discussing big questions with classmates. When a teacher asked if his father's fame made school difficult, X shrugged. "Dad says what matters isn't what people think about you, but whether you're honest about what you believe." One morning, 3 weeks after the television appearance, Elon received an unexpected call from a senator known for his religious conservatism. "Mr. Musk, I was deeply moved by your testimony," the senator began. I believe God could use someone of your influence to bring spiritual renewal to our nation. I'm putting together a coalition of business leaders and politicians to promote Christian values in government policies. We'd be honored to have you join us." Elon listened politely but felt immediate caution. "Thank you, Senator, but I'm still early in my faith journey. I'm not looking to join political movements or use this for any agenda beyond my own family's spiritual growth. But surely you see how your platform could advance God's kingdom in our culture?" the senator pressed. "I believe the best way I can honor this new faith is by living it authentically, not by leveraging it for political influence," Elon replied firmly. After ending the call, Elon spoke with Pastor Miller about the interaction. "You'll get more of those," Miller warned. "People will want to use your name and influence for their own purposes, with good intentions, others less so." "How do I navigate that?" Elon asked. "By remembering that Jesus didn't come to establish political power or cultural dominance. He came to transform hearts one at a time. Focus on your own transformation first." This advice proved valuable, as similar requests arrived from various groups, religious organizations wanting endorsements, media companies pitching faith-based projects, even businesses proposing Christian-themed merchandise. Elon declined them all, focusing instead on his personal growth and X's spiritual nurturing. They began volunteering monthly at a homeless shelter operated by Pastor Miller's church. X particularly enjoyed these days, sitting with residents and asking questions about their lives with the unfiltered curiosity only children possess. 6 weeks after the television appearance, Elon faced his first major public test when he delivered a scheduled speech at a technology conference. Speculation had been intense about whether he would mention his faith in this professional setting. As he took the stage, Elon felt a calm confidence that surprised him. He spoke primarily about technological innovations and future projects, but concluded with something more personal. "I've always believed humanity's greatest resource is our consciousness, our ability to ask why, not just how. Recently, my own why questions have led me to recognize a creator behind the mathematical elegance we discover in the universe. This hasn't diminished my commitment to scientific advancement. If anything, it's deepened it. Understanding the universe as created, rather than accidental, gives new meaning to our exploration." The response was mixed, but respectful. Afterward, several attendees approached him privately to share their own spiritual journeys, often kept quiet in scientific and business communities where religious perspectives were sometimes viewed with skepticism. That evening, as Elon and X drove home, X asked a question that revealed he had been thinking deeply again. "Dad, if God made the whole universe, why doesn't he just show everyone so they all know for sure?" Elon smiled at his son's perceptiveness. "That's a great question, buddy. I think maybe God values our freedom to discover him ourselves. If he made himself completely obvious, we might feel forced to believe rather than choosing to." X considered this. "Like how it's better when I figure out a puzzle myself instead of you telling me the answer?" "Exactly like that," Elon said, "and maybe the universe itself is a kind of puzzle that points to its creator when we look closely enough." When they arrived home, they found an unexpected visitor waiting, Elon's mother, who had flown in unannounced. Her relationship with her son had been complicated over the years, with differing views on many subjects and she'd been notably silent since the television appearance. "Mom," Elon greeted her with surprise. "You should have told me you were coming." "I wasn't sure what I wanted to say until I got here," she admitted, hugging X, who had run to greet his grandmother. After X went to bed, mother and son sat in the living room, the tension between them palpable. "I've watched that interview a dozen times," she finally said. "At first, I thought it might be some kind of publicity stunt. You've always been good at surprising people." Elon shook his head. "It wasn't planned, Mom. It was the most genuine moment of my life." "I know that now," she said quietly. "I can see the change in you and in X. There's a piece that wasn't there before." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "You know, I've never been religious myself." "I remember," Elon said. "But watching you and X that day, it made me wonder what I might have missed," she continued, her voice faltering slightly. "Is it too late for me to understand what you found?" Elon moved to sit beside his mother, taking her hand in his. "It's never too late, Mom." "That's kind of the whole point." As they talked into the night, Elon realized that the ripples from that television moment were continuing to spread, touching lives in ways he could never have engineered or predicted. The most sophisticated rocket couldn't reach as far as a simple act of faith witnessed by millions. 6 months had passed since the interview that changed everything. The media frenzy had gradually subsided, though interest remained high whenever Elon spoke publicly about his faith. What had once been shocking was becoming part of his public identity, not replacing his reputation as an innovator, but adding a new dimension to it. X had just celebrated his 6th birthday with a space-themed party that included, at his request, a special prayer of thanks led by Pastor Miller. The boy's understanding of faith continued to develop in ways that often surprised adults with their clarity and insight. One evening, as they drove home from a church community dinner, X asked a question that had clearly been on his mind. "Dad, remember when we went on TV and found Jesus?" "Of course, buddy. That was a big day for us." X nodded seriously. "Could we go back on TV again to tell more people about Jesus?" Elon glanced at his son in the rearview mirror. "Why do you want to do that?" "Because Tommy at school saw us on TV, and now his whole family goes to church with us," X explained. "Maybe more people would find Jesus too if we talked about him again." The childlike evangelism made Elon smile, but he recognized the sincerity behind it. "That's thoughtful of you, X. Let me think about how we might share our experience in a helpful way." That night, after putting X to bed, Elon received a call from Hannah Reynolds, the talk show host who had interviewed them 6 months earlier. "I know this might seem out of the blue," Hannah said, "but we're planning a special episode on life-changing moments that happened on our show over the years. Obviously, your interview ranks among the most impactful we've ever had." "What exactly are you proposing?" Elon asked. "A follow-up conversation, you and X, 6 months later. No agenda beyond sharing how things have changed or not changed since that day." Pastor Miller would be welcome too, of course. Elon thought about X's request earlier that evening. The timing seemed more than coincidental. "Let me talk to X about it," he replied. "If he's comfortable with the idea, we'll do it." 2 weeks later, Elon and X once again found themselves in the green room of Heart to Heart with Hannah. Pastor Miller joined them, along with Elon's mother, who had begun her own spiritual journey in recent months. "Are you nervous, Dad?" X asked, Adjusting his small blue tee, he had insisted on dressing formally for this important occasion. A little, Elon admitted, but good nervous, like before launching something new. When they walked onto the set, the audience greeted them with warm applause. Hannah welcomed them with genuine affection. 6 months ago, something unexpected happened on this very stage, she began once they were seated. A conversation about family and purpose took an unplanned turn when 5-year-old X asked about talking to Jesus. What followed touched millions of viewers and became one of the most watched segments in television history. The screen showed brief clips from the original interview, culminating in the moment when Elon and X had prayed with Pastor Miller. Elon, when you left our studio that day, did you have any idea of the impact that moment would have? Hannah asked. Not at all, Elon replied honestly. I knew it was significant for X and me personally, but I couldn't have predicted how it would resonate with so many others. And how has your life changed in these 6 months? Hannah continued. Elon looked at X, then at his mother, before answering. The biggest change hasn't been external, though there have been plenty of those. The real transformation has been internal. I've discovered that the universe makes more sense, not less, when viewed as creation rather than accident. My work still focuses on innovation and progress, but now with a deeper sense of purpose behind it. Hannah turned to X. And what about you, X? You're 6 now, a whole year older than when we last met. How do you feel about what happened here? X sat up straighter. I'm glad we found Jesus. He helps me when I'm scared or when kids at school are mean, and now Grandma prays with us too. The camera panned to Elon's mother, who smiled with tears in her eyes. Would you say your faith has made your work more difficult? Hannah asked Elon. It's added challenges, certainly, he replied. Some people assumed I would abandon rational thinking or scientific inquiry. Others tried to recruit me for political or cultural battles, but it's also opened unexpected doors. I've had meaningful conversations with people across traditional dividing lines, finding common ground in our shared humanity and purpose. Pastor Miller added, what's been remarkable to witness is how Elon has approached faith with the same intellectual curiosity and rigor he brings to his other pursuits. He asks tough questions, reads widely, and isn't satisfied with superficial answers. That's who I've always been, Elon noted. I don't think faith requires checking your brain at the door. The most fulfilling aspect has been discovering that science and faith can be complementary paths to truth rather than competitors. As the conversation continued, viewers both live and those who would see clips later witnessed something rare in public discourse, a thoughtful, nuanced discussion of spirituality that neither sensationalized faith nor diminished its significance. Near the end of the interview, Hannah asked one final question. If you could go back to that moment 6 months ago, knowing everything that would follow, would you make the same decision? Elon didn't hesitate. Absolutely. The journey hasn't always been easy, but it's been true, and ultimately, truth is what I've always sought, whether through equations, experiments, or now faith. X tugged at his father's sleeve, a gesture familiar to viewers of the original interview. When Elon leaned down, X whispered something in his ear. Elon smiled. X wants me to tell everyone that Jesus isn't just for people on TV or in church. He's for everybody who wants to know him. The audience applauded at the child's simple wisdom, and Hannah's eyes glistened with emotion as she wrapped up the segment. As they left the studio afterward, a production assistant handed Elon a stack of letters. These came for you and X. After the first interview, people sharing how your story affected them. We thought you might want to see them. That night, after X was asleep, Elon sat reading through the letters. They came from people of all backgrounds: scientists, students, parents, even self-described atheists who found themselves reconsidering long-held positions. Many described watching the original broadcast with cynicism that gave way to unexpected tears as they witnessed what seemed to be a genuine moment of transformation. One letter in particular caught his attention. It was from a physics professor who wrote, "For years, I've kept my faith separate from my scientific work, feeling they belonged in different compartments. Seeing someone of your scientific credibility embrace faith publicly has given me courage to integrate these parts of my life more honestly." As Elon set the letters aside and walked to check on X one last time, he reflected on the strange, wonderful journey that had begun with his son's innocent questions about heaven. Throughout his career, he had launched rockets toward the stars. Now he and X had embarked on a different kind of journey, one that reached beyond the physical universe to its creator. X was sleeping peacefully, his small chest rising and falling with each breath. On his bedside table sat the drawing he had made months ago. In the green room, two figures looking up at the stars with a bright light shining down on them. Elon gently adjusted his son's blanket. "Thank you," he whispered to X, for his childlike wisdom, and to the Creator who had used that wisdom to reach millions through an unexpected moment on live television.